It is the time of judgment. Um, in a uh, twist M Night Shyamalan. Hello, Andy. In a twist M Night Shyamalan book club thing, Geraint will be leading tonight's book club. Whoa, whoa! So buckle up. Um,
It's
but
my book, and I want it now.
yeah, yeah, he's gonna do the thing. Okay, so Geraint at your leisure.
Okay. All right. So we left off, starting with chapter 6. All right. We flash back to the present. Rylan realizes he's been sent on a suicide mission to save humanity. A million questions race through his mind, but he decides the most important is to figure out how to navigate the ship. While messing with the control panels, he discovers that the ship has a petrovoscope to detect astrophage. He surmises that this scope can't be used while the spin drive is active because the rockets give off more energy than the sun per second, which would blind the sensors. When opening the course screen, he sees that his ship is plotted to orbit between Tau Ceti's third and fourth planets, arriving in almost 6 days from now. He also realizes that his trip took 13 years from Earth, with a round trip of 26 years, which would make any information that he sends 26 years delayed, and that time dilation for him only was 3 to 4 years. Rylan flashes back to the past, where he meets with Strat, who appears tired and is drinking hard liquor. She reveals to him the psychological brutality of human confinement. The Soviets did experiments where humans began trying to kill each other after only a few months of confinement together. The Hail Mary's astronauts will travel together for 4 years and will know that they will die at the end of their mission, suggesting that there is no possibility of a return trip home. We then learn of the induced coma experiments and the discovery of coma resistance genes. 1 in 7,000, or roughly 1 million people on Earth, have this gene and are candidates to be crew for the Hail Mary. Rather than send the best candidates and risk psychosis, they will send the best from the available pool to undergo induced comas. We flash back to the present. Ryland finds a library with an extensive collection of data. He learns the average rectal temperature of a goat is 103.4 Fahrenheit. He spends the next few days messing with systems and reading until the engines turn off and he finally experiences zero G. He experiences a sudden panic from the sensation of continuous falling. He upchucks day 9, meal 3 behind the collar of his shirt, trapping the warm vomit against his skin and jumpsuit. After changing into a new suit, he straps himself into a pilot chair and sees the screen change displaying Petrovoscope ready. He turns this on and finds that Tau Ceti does in fact have a Petrova line. He does a butt wiggle dance of excitement as he realizes there is hope to save humanity. However, he also notices a flashing dot that becomes solid and brighter every second, appearing to move towards him before it disappears. His Petrovoscope's field is obscured and he changes to the visible light camera and sees it, an astrophage-powered alien ship. Ryland says what we're all thinking. Holy fucking shit. So, there's a lot to have in that chapter. Who has questions or thoughts?
I'm glad it was an alien after all,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like them sending somebody to follow them like another human ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Because I know we were theorizing that last week.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think the author had the balls to do an alien because it's so hard to pull off. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was impressed.
It was awesome.
Yes, I was very excited.
Yeah, I was like reading pretty fast through here, so much so that like sometimes I would like go back to make sure I didn't miss something because I was like powering through
It's
it.
yeah.
But yeah, the way that the author did the lead up to the alien reveal with the only looking through the Petrovoscope and being like, why is the Petrova line suddenly cut in half? Like what is how does that make sense? What's obscuring it? And the realization that yeah, there was a alien
Another
ship
ship.
so close.
Hmm
So I know week. I mean, I was wrong. I had it backwards about the time dilation. It wasn't that it'd be 3 times the time. It'd be a third of the time for Ryland.
Shorter, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's only 3 to 4 years for him. Um,
What did
what else?
what did you guys think about the suicide mission, the coma part, and how they discovered these coma resistance genes? And what do you think? Do you have like any explanation in your head about like why the other two died, or what went wrong, or if they also were coma resistance people, like why why was, and any thoughts on that stuff?
I mean, they're probably resistant, but I mean, complications probably arose in caring for them.
Mhm.
And something they talked about in his flashback that it could happen, that
Mhm.
people
Mm-hmm.
could
Yeah.
die,
Like,
that's what I
it
was gonna say.
protects you, but
Very-
it's not like you're immune to it. Plus,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
if they were just set up slightly different, like, I don't know, maybe the needle was like a single, like, half a fraction of a hair off, which
Mhm.
doesn't matter for a short trip, but for a longer one might change things. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's no like doctors, no bedside manner, nobody watching them continuously, just looking for, oh, there's an
Yeah.
alert, and trying to like adapt to whatever issue happens. But
And I wouldn't be surprised if the gene isn't like completely failsafe. Like if you have this, you'll never have complications in a coma,
yeah,
but
Mhm.
just you have a far less chance of having it happen.
Yeah.
4 years is still a long time. A lot
Yeah.
of things can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of them
Or
could
Yeah.
a,
have
like,
disease that you didn't know about.
Mhm.
or like a one copy, two copy kind of thing where they can detect if you have one, but maybe you only have one copy, so it's not as effective as two.
Mhm.
My brain was coming up with all kinds of like melodrama explanations of why the other two died and he didn't. I was like, what if they tried to do the best of like all options, and they sent our MC to be like, the fail safe or whatever, but then they let the other two be awake the whole time, and then one kills one, and then the other feels so bad that they kill themselves, and so then then he wakes up and everybody is dead, for not super clear reasons. I also imagine, like, what if there was just some like crazy, like, malfunction with the robot system, or like some crazy AI decision making, like at some
Mhm.
point the maybe the ship was damaged or food spoiled or something happened, and like the robot like literally just made the executive decision to randomly kill two of them in order to ensure the survival of the. I don't know. I was like trying to come up with all kinds of um, potential explanations
Yeah.
of how, like, why it went the way it did.
Could be like an iRobot situation, like, you know, kill a couple of them to make sure the one more qualified person, quote unquote, could make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you guys think of the? I mean, they pretty much say it directly now that this was intended to be a suicide mission. Like, hey, people are leaving knowing they're gonna go out and die. Because originally we just didn't know if if Ryan did remember what the plan was. Even now,
Mhm.
it's like he still hasn't found out what the plan is in the
Mm-hmm.
instruction
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
pretty sad, but
I mean, when the world's teetering towards apocalypse, I think
yeah.
you'd find a lot of people willing to, die on Earth or die potentially saving Earth. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
True.
I will say, maybe I should say this to the end of the chapter 10, but you know, they mention, they set up why everyone died with the medical bot failing, and there's probably a ton of food and resources left though for Island for a return trip. And I just wonder if that's why they mentioned, that's why they had these two people die, that's why it was the three main
Mm.
crew. That's why they explained these deaths early on to say, oh, you have all this supply that was going to go to these people who died. You can use that for a return trip. So that's where I'm pretty
Potentially.
redundancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we don't know how much food they actually packed for each person,
Yeah.
because we don't know how long the mission was supposedly going to last.
Mhm.
Well, in theory, he has 3 times whatever that original amount was.
Yeah.
So, did anyone have a physical reaction to the vomit scene? I'm
Ugh.
just curious.
I was just kind of like,
I did
Eh,
make a face. I was
quickly
like,
skip
ugh.
over that shit.
He barfed
Yeah.
in
Made a
his
face,
suit.
but
Better.
Ugh.
nothing
I
visceral.
I wondered
Mm-hmm.
I wondered what that'd feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was able to contain it within the suit and it didn't just
Yep.
come out and float everywhere, get in his eyes and his ears and just plaster
Mhm.
the fucking walls. Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been so gross.
That was silly going through multiple, zero G situations and forgetting to put things or like put things
Yeah.
away. I was
Yeah.
like, come on, bro, you had to the first time, But
Any other thoughts?
no.
Okay. Holy fucking shit.
I want to talk
Great.
about the alien.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll get there. Alright. So, chapter 7. Okay. Ryland's mind races to understand what the ship could be. Could it be a redundant ship from Earth? After some quick math, he determines the ship is 3 times the size of his, has a pyramid nose connected by 3 rods to a trapezoid base with flat sides, an unusual choice. It's still too big to be an Earth ship. Ryland decides to manually adjust the speed of the Hail Mary for a split second and see how the other ship responds. The other ship mimics the Hail Mary, and Ryland believes the quick reaction means the ship must have intelligent life, rather than being remotely controlled. He decides to call this ship Blip A after the radar screen's description. He changes to the normal camera, and while admiring the smooth mottled hull coloration, he sees an object sliding along a track on the hull. This object has 5 arms sticking out with claw-like hands, which he surmises is a robot, with 2 hands grasping a cylinder. The robot then pushes the cylinder towards his ship at the exact velocity that he had moved the Hail Mary earlier. Ryland gets ready and prepared to catch the cylinder. He jumps into his Russian-made EVA suit to open the airlock and survive outer space. Surprisingly, using the suit comes second nature to him, and he realizes he must have been extensively trained in spacesuit operations. He positions himself along the hull to capture the cylinder, and forces himself to be patient so as not to embarrass himself in front of the alien trying to grab the cylinder too early. He captures it and rushes to bring himself back inside to analyze it. As he opens his EVA suit, he is flavor blasted with the intense smell of cat urine, which he realizes is ammonia. He then tries to grab the cylinder with his hand and recoils after realizing the cylinder is piping hot. Having just traversed 40 minutes in cold, deep space, he realizes the container must have been intensely hot when it first started. He then heads to the lab to analyze it and realizes how odd it is that the lab's layout is designed with the assumption of gravity in a zero-G setting. He then lets his mind wander to ponder this until a flashback hits him to end the chapter. Okay, what thoughts or comments do you guys have?
Fucking aliens, man.
I
Was
wish
not
Aliens.
expecting aliens. Like
I wish
actual ones.
my amnesia flashbacks were as useful as his were.
Mhm.
For
Not
real.
that I have amnesia, but I know that's not how it works. But it kind of has to work that way in fiction.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the mimicking the ship, seeing what he's doing and being
Mhm.
like, "Hey, I can do that too."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
That
cute.
was really cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes them seem very
W-
like friendly
Yeah.
aliens.
Yes.
What did you
Imitation.
guys think of the ship description, like the alien ship description?
Very standard spacey ship,
Yeah.
alien
Yeah.
shippy looking thing.
I think my brain just kind of threw out whatever description it was and turned it into a triangle.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
It seems more advanced than what Ryland is in. So maybe like, the spaceship rules he has in his head for like how it should be designed don't apply necessarily to, whatever tech that ship is made out of or wherever that ship is from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I thought of a Star Wars Imperial Star Cruiser?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
a pretty
Yeah.
Is
accurate.
that
Yep.
I don't
Well,
know. I mean, that's how I thought about it. I was like, I don't know if that's right, but I thought
Yep.
about the Star Destroyer.
a lot of
The
flat
closest thing that
sides.
came to mind was like, do you remember in elementary school when we were all learning like very simple geometry and the names of shit, and like they gave us those like wooden blocks of the different
Oh
like
yeah.
like I just imagined one of those, but it was like bronze and just massive.
One of those like half polygonal shapes, or like
Yeah.
Imperial Star Cruiser's probably pretty similar to how that thing looks. Very angular.
So I
I guess
posted
they
in
like
book
yeah,
chat,
like the nose.
but that's like a visualization just to help that someone on Reddit made. It does look quite ridiculous.
Let's
It's
see.
like Big Ben flying next to him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is a helpful visual.
But I mean, it is aliens, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, I did enjoy the line about splotchiness this chapter, where he's like, "Well, maybe splotchiness is just in this season." And yeah,
Yep. That was
Alien
I love that
culture.
he was trying to like humanize it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that definitely did not look anything like I thought it looks like.
To me, it
Oh
was
my
like
god.
the ship had camo for an environment that there wasn't around it. Like it
Yeah,
had like some
true.
way of blending in.
Yeah, this is a crazy shape. What the hell?
Anyone have any first impressions about uh, the ammonia smell as well as the heat on the cylinder?
So first of all, my dad is a maintenance man and he is trained in ammonia, so I'm very familiar with that smell because he had always come home smelling like that shit.
Mm.
And so I was just like it was very I had no trouble picturing that
Mm-hmm.
Any
or smelling that.
explanations come up in your head, like, when this is happening,
Um,
were you first like, oh shit, do they breathe ammonia, or is there something else going on with the ammonia?
I
Or...
thought I thought the heat in the ammonia might have something to do with like the process of how they were making the cylinders and things, because it's not like I didn't imagine them having the constellation star map like ready made. Like I think they had to have that prepped. Like they
Oh.
made that on the
Spoilers.
spot.
I initially thought it was like a decontamination protocol before it was sent out.
Mm.
And it
That's a
was
good
like
thought.
cleaning it and superheating it to make sure it wasn't like
Sterile? Oh, that's a really good idea.
making it sterile.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
don't accidentally
I
kill Ryland with their weird alien pathogens.
Yeah.
I think
Ammonia,
I kind of what did I think I assumed like that was like the air on his ship.
Mhm.
You know, like if Ryland packs something up, there's going to be oxygen in it. So that's just
Yeah.
They.
That's the simplest answer, obviously. Like I wish I had thought of that, but yeah.
What
well, I
if
think
the
that's also
alien?
the one he comes he comes to as well, I
Yeah.
think, in the next
Mhm.
chapter, but
What if they pee on their gifts as a way to show dominance? That's
Oh
Dude,
god.
Not
I was
maybe
gonna
not
make that
dominance, but
joke.
just like a friendly
I
kind of
can't
like
believe
hello.
I can't
Like
Dude,
sniff a
believe
dog's butt.
I can't believe this
I was gonna
alien is a
make that
damn
joke.
cat.
Dude, like I'm saying, I was gonna make that freaking joke, and then I was like, nah, I won't say it. But then,
Yep.
thank God you said it. Okay, I was just kidding, but yeah, all right. Thank God.
It's like, dogs sniffing butts. It's like, look, this is what my urine smells like.
Yes, you can tell so much about me with this one sniff.
You pee on it too.
Yeah, see that I learned about you.
I will say, not to again jump ahead, but when we learn the size of the aliens, it's actually kind of surprising how big the ship is. Because the aliens are a lot smaller than Ryland, and the ship is 3 times the size of
Massive.
Ryland's. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like it'd be like if Ryland was in a ship 10 times his size.
I
So.
mean, it's like
Yeah.
guys with small dicks buying big trucks. It's the same thing.
I
Interesting.
have a theory about this, but it also kind of goes with descriptions that we learn in, uh, I think chapters 9 or 10, when we get, when he starts talking more about the physiology
Mhm.
of the dude. So I don't know if I should
Yeah.
say it now.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? I think we covered most of it. Okay. All right, chapter 8. Ryland flashes back to a meeting in Switzerland with Strat and a Norwegian scientist, Dr. Locken. Things start out feisty, with Dr. Locken claiming Ryland's childish paper about waterless life forms was an insult to science. Ryland claps back that Dr. Locken's assumption of astrophages being independently evolved was nonsense. There was obviously a panspermia event. After Strat calms them both down, Locken highlights the notion that the most critical and reliable aspect of the mission must be the laboratory. Rather than risk inventing new zero-G lab equipment, they should instead risk complicating the ship design to include a centrifuge mode to artificially create gravity. Dr. Locken is then abruptly conscripted into designing this. We flash back to the present. Ryland remembers everything about the centrifuge design. He heads to the cockpit and finds a panel with a button labeled Engage Centrifuge Sequence. He hits it, the ship splits in half and starts spinning, generating a normal gravity after about 5 minutes. Before heading down to inspect the cylinder in the lab, he sees Blip A spinning around in space mimicking him. A hilarious miscommunication. Ryland begins analyzing the cylinder. It's not radioactive, it's harder than steel, and surprisingly, it's composed of xenon, a non-reactive gas that shouldn't bond with anything. He sees an indentation and is able to unscrew the lid of the cylinder to reveal a model of whiskers and spheres. Ryland has an epiphany and realizes this is a star map. He deduces the alien's home planet must be in the 40 Eridani star system, which also has a Petrova line astrophage problem. Based on the star name, Ryland decides to call the aliens Iridians. He then MacGyvers a connection between our sun and Tau Ceti to show the alien where we come from with the same Petrova line problem. He suits up and shoves the cylinder back to the alien ship. After what feels like an eternity, the alien ship sends back a new cylinder. He opens it and finds a model displaying their 2 ships with a bridge. He realizes the aliens want to meet. Okay.
Hell yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyone with spontaneous thoughts or questions?
I'm curious what everyone thought they would look like.
More humanoid, I think.
Yeah.
I thought more like ET kind of. That was my first image of them was ET. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
I think because of the ship, I just thought they'd be blocky. I don't know.
Yeah, like
Steve from Minecraft.
yeah.
They walk out looking like a PS1 character.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, yeah.
with how big the ship was, like I did expect, like I was expecting them to like be pretty large.
I
Yeah,
kind of
like something
picture
gangly.
the alien looking like a Pokemon, so I can't really say much.
Like Porygon.
Well, kind of like a mixture of two, but that's the description. I don't think we actually get to see him until the next chapter.
Oh yeah.
But I can post what like two that I thought he was a mix of.
I thought the spinning thing with the centrifuge was pretty entertaining. It also makes the aliens seem just like really just like friendly and genuine, that they were willing
Inquisitive.
to do this strange
Mm-hmm.
thing. And yeah, the passing back and forth of the cylinders, continuing them aiming for the airlock and stuff. I don't know, just like the slow development of the understanding um of each other here, and yeah, just and ending with that basically they're wanting to meet and being like really excited to see like what that's going to be like, or how that's possibly going to go.
Did the little robot he passed it to match his gesture in this chapter? That was this chapter when he
Oh,
like
when
gave
the
it a thumbs
robot
up
waved.
Oh yeah, I think he
and
waved. Yeah,
waved.
Waved.
yeah.
Wave, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it waved back.
Yeah, I think that did
this
happen here.
yeah, the
And he sat
star
there
map.
doing it for like 10 minutes or something, waving at it.
The star map thing reminded me of how when I learned what they sent off with the Voyagers, how one of the things they sent off was like a gold plate that showed our sun and like a little model of our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of reminded me of that, except of course wiry and not a golden plate, but same concept.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think of the plot of like, hey, Dr. Locke's like, hey, you guys can't do this. We need to, the lab is the most critical thing. Rather than overcomplicate that, you should overcomplicate the ship design and make a centrifuge. Because really, at the end of the day, the sensitivity of your lab equipment is what matters the most.
I guess
I
it's like
think it
a
was.
greater evil. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it was more an argument of making something new and just wasting time on that rather than just doing what they already knew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
Their
mean,
argument though was hilarious.
Yeah. Like it made
maybe I'm
sense,
a
but
government stooge, so I have a little bit more appreciation for paperwork than most people, but there's a reason shit is tried and true.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, they need the lab equipment to be very standardized and very tested, because
Otherwise, you can't really trust the data.
and they just don't have enough time to do a good job developing zero G stuff. Like, maybe they decided to go ahead and develop that stuff for next time, but when you've got a deadline of so-called 30 years and the trip is going to take 26 years, you don't have time to get that kind of research done, no matter
Yep.
how much money you throw at it.
Yeah.
And, and I'll say, with the medical robot failing and 2 people dying,
So
they're
wait,
probably
did
they were
it say
right.
that for sure? So the medical
I,
robot failed and
I,
that's why they
I,
died?
I think it's not that the robot failed; it's that it couldn't, take care of everything that needed to be taken care of. Like they
Yeah.
could have got a UTI from their catheter or some other infection that
Yeah,
they
Oh.
could have got septic. Yeah,
So but
it
but
said
did it but
something
did it
about.
actually say that's what happened? Because I
I,
missed that.
I think it
I think
I
that
said
think
was
it
just
like it
insinuates.
wasn't able to possibly identify a problem, like a possible infection or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong that you can't necessarily detect. It might have just been that, maybe the gene wasn't as protective for them, or yeah,
Yeah.
maybe some fucking dust got in their
Well, the
IV
robot
holes
wasn't.
and
The robot was pretty new
yeah.
technology, and just like for the same reason that they would want to use very standardized, very tested and established lab equipment, like this potentially is one of the problems with new
Yeah.
technology that's not been sufficiently tested. Is if the robot did fail, and that's part of
And of
what
course,
happened.
in the robot's case, we didn't really have a choice because they literally don't exist. So they were, they couldn't. They were picking their battles. Like, there
Hmm.
wasn't a tried and true method for the robot,
Yeah.
so they had to, just kind of do their best versus the lab equipment, which, they already had a good feel for.
Yeah.
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 And Honestly, I also think that the robot was attracted to Rylan and just killed
Oh
the other two
god.
so that it could save its
Maybe
lube stores for Rylan.
I like it.
maybe
I
they
second
just
that motion.
accidentally rolled them over too hard one day. Who knows?
Oh god.
Accidentally just pushed them down the the ship stairs, by mistake. Turn
What do
on
you
the
think of
centrifuge a few times. Sorry.
what do you think of Ryland telling them what Earth is? I mean, that's what I was thinking. It seemed like, oh, is he gonna tell them where we live? Like, fuck, can you trust these people or these aliens?
I guess they
Yeah, I
told
mean,
us
Well,
first. They told us where they were
Well, you
from.
don't know if that's where they're actually from.
Oh, well, I
I
guess.
mean, if your entire planet's gonna die anyway.
true.
I mean, for all we know, this guy's also on a suicide mission. We don't know if his people plan to take him back.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Nah,
it's
the alien comes
like
from a position of power.
He does seem to
For
be a
all we
little bit better off
He's
than
he's way
Rylan.
smarter. He doesn't have to think twice about any of the about how fast he's approaching Ryland or any of the other stuff. I think the alien is aware that he is the smarter, more powerful person and is comfortable with that,
Yeah.
I
I,
mean,
I
I
don't
think
know.
Rylan did what he could to at least see that he was check that he was friendly. I mean, obviously nothing's 100%,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but if he but I think if the alien meant harm,
yeah, he'd be fucked.
Rylan would
Yeah.
have been
Yeah, no,
dead
they're
before he
friendly.
knew.
They're
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
friendly, but the alien has the power.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Ryland is no threat to that alien currently.
Yeah, what do you
He's
think?
going, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the alien thinks of Ryland?
I
Honestly,
mean, at
I,
this point, not much.
I
Yeah.
think I think the alien is just as desperate as Ryland is, and he's just going,
Friend.
"Please be useful. Please
Please
be
be
friend.
useful.
Please be
Yep.
useful."
yeah, I
So
think it's very much that.
one of my favorite things about this chapter, as a artistically challenged person, was the line that when he connected his own connection to the soul sun on the whiskers diagram. He said it was like adding a crayon drawing in the corner of a Da Vinci, and I felt like I could really relate to that.
Yeah, because he used soldering and
Yeah, melting
wax.
paraffin.
Fucking probably looked like a mound of shit, but with some basic shapes on it.
I feel like that's what I would have done, but
Yup.
It does make me worry though if this uh alien is here for the same reasons, then that's like, well, fuck, if this more advanced civilization cannot figure out how to deal with the astrophage, or maybe he's there for something completely different. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they've already figured out how to maximally utilize the astrophage. So maybe he's not there for that. Maybe he'll share, whatever
I think they'll solve
information.
it and the alien will help him get home.
Yeah, that would be
It was a
beautiful.
suicide mission until he made friends with an alien and the alien said, I'll help you get home, buddy.
alien
Yeah.
tow truck.
He's
And
gonna
I
tell
the
like you too much.
alien's gonna officiate the wedding between him and the robot.
Oh god.
Gonna be great.
Oh my god.
There's gonna be a lot of religious freaks
Hmm.
Yeah.
freaking out about it.
The world will
Anybody
be
else?
saved, but then there will be more prejudice in the world because aliens officiating a wedding. You know how it is.
Anybody else sad the alien didn't have tentacles?
I
Oh
was gonna
god.
I think
point out.
I'm
I think that's just you,
I'm
buddy.
okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Hentai.
it. I'm good.
So we could have little robot v tentacle going on.
I do wish it would have said how sloped, the alien
Oh
was.
god.
How we feeling about this book being
Wow.
a harem? How we feeling?
Yeah.
All right. Any
All right.
other thoughts? Okay. On to chapter 9. All right. So Ryland questions if meeting with the aliens is a good idea. It is the interstellar equivalent of a stranger offering him candy. Regardless, he quickly decides it's the right move. He works a section off a piece of his hull as a sample for the alien. As he works on the logistics of connecting a tunnel, he is enamored with the idea of the hot temperature, meaning the Iridians might not be water-based life, and that a scientific paper was right all along. He is able to section off a 6-piece inch of his hull and throws at the alien robot who catches it. Surprisingly, it appears to wave to Ryland, who waves back. Ryland waits for a response from the alien ship and decides to eat a burrito, unfortunately unheated. As he daydreams about using the spin drive to speed heat the burrito, another flashback triggers. Ryland is back at the carrier, about to meet Dmitri and the Russians to hand over 2 grams of astrophage. Dmitri reveals to Ryland how the spin drive works, including over 1,000 little triangular revolving motors, all using astrophage to provide continuous thrust. They take a 20 microgram sample for a live demonstration which generates 60,000 newtons of force in 100 microseconds, producing enough energy to melt a thickened metal plate. Dmitri notes that the 1009 engines provide redundancy to prevent possible mission failure. Ryland flashes back to eating his burrito. A proximity alert warns him that the Iridian ship is approaching with a new fabricated tunnel sticking out from it. The ship slowly approaches, and the robot arm extends its arms to attach 5 clamps that glues to seal the tunnel to Ryland's airlock. Ryland is again impressed with the Iridian's ability to perform complicated maneuvers with little information about his ship. Ryland goes and opens his side of the tunnel, which pressurizes with the air escaping from his ship. After the air equalizes, he takes a leap of faith and exits his EVA suit. Peering down the pitch-black tunnel with his headlamp, he sees a wall in the middle of the tunnel with 20 hexagon-shaped tiles of different colors. As he walks towards it, he smells ammonia and feels heat radiating from the tunnel walls, making him sweat. Curious to see the multicolored wall, he presses onwards to reach it, and as he reaches it, he hears a knock, knock, knock from the other side. Okay. Thoughts
It
and
was
questions?
it was at this point that I was really glad that Toaster told us that we could read chapter 10. If Toaster had cut us off at chapter 9, I might have driven down to you guys and had words.
Yep. Yep.
True that.
No, it still hasn't reached the climax of the meeting, but it's cool to see that
Do we need the
it
robot for that?
Oh god.
it's cool to see that it didn't need to have the same technology as his ship to elicit some form of communication and meeting that didn't need to be specific to that ship. It had like a universal attachment,
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
which is very nice.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
me
pretty cool.
makes me wonder how often the Iridian is like running into new types of aliens or something because I mean maybe that's just how they go between other ships, their own ships, um but yeah, it seemed like they were pretty equipped to figure out how to attach to a ship, of unknown materials, and they were able to facilitate something that would be quite an engineering feat for humans and probably take some time, but they did it
Yeah,
like right away.
pretty sick.
Mhm.
Do you guys think the Iridians are water-based life forms?
Given that they are at high heats and the ammonia aspect of it, initially I wasn't thinking so.
Yeah.
My
But go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna say my theory is that they're like the more evolved form of the astrophage, and that maybe they whatever the like dark material that's in the astrophages that like completely protects them from being obliterated by the sun. I feel like that could I feel like the author would do that to Ryland. Like make him think he finally discovered, a
Yep.
non-water based life form, and then it
And be
actually
like, haha.
yeah, it actually just turns out to be nope, still water, still water, Ryland. But yeah, the material, I guess it's not described here, but the description that comes later is like, seems like it could be a more evolved space algae, or at the very least, like whatever molecules the astrophage are using. Um, yeah, I could see there being some crossover there, and that being the explanation of, how they're able to be, um, at higher heat and everything else. And as a more evolved version, yeah, maybe it's just like the heat they're putting off or something. I don't know. That's just an idea I
Yeah.
had about, how they might still have water or something.
Kind of like those bacteria that live in volcanic vents, like under the ocean.
Yeah, thermophiles. Here we go. For the extremophiles.
Mhm.
Sorry if you can hear Kyle in the background. Playing Marvel
Like-
Rivals.
Because those are like element enriched areas of the ocean that are, high temperature, high volatile chemicals and shit, and they're able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say, this creature isn't similar to that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm torn
So,
between like
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was torn between it being like plot satisfying for him to discover that he was right before probably the end of his life, considering it's a suicide mission.
Mm-hmm.
But the opposite would be really funny.
Oh yeah, to come back, prove everyone wrong.
Yeah. Or just Toaster being right and he's wrong again, but he lives.
So I
That
just
would be sadder.
I just looked up the effect of pressure on the boiling point of water, and increasing pressure does increase the boiling point of water. Maybe it's more relevant to the last chapter when they're discussing, their environments that they live in. But so that could potentially contribute to, if they are still water based or something.
Yeah.
So one thing I thought is or was interesting, he does mention the destructive nature of the engines and how powerful they are, how much energy it outputs, and then they also mention this very strong, indestructible material, the xenotite. And I just wonder if maybe this alien turns out to be an antagonist at some point, and he saves humanity, destroys this alien by using the engines and how destructive they are. But
Oh
I was
god.
wondering if he's setting that up.
Man. I want them to be friends.
Yeah.
He waved
Yes,
to
I
him.
want our first interactions with aliens to be good ones, please, because there's a very high chance they will be more technologically advanced, and we will be fucked if they are not.
Mm-hmm.
And not
What
in the fun way.
Ooh.
What do you guys think about the multicolored tile thing that was put in the middle? Like why it was there?
I thought it was like a test of what elements he could see through, or what he could interact with and be safe,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and it probably testing against his atmosphere to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, what reacts, what's not reacting, what can he touch or it touch according to the alien, that it won't get damaged or hurt.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. And I have a thought related to that I'll save for the last chapter. But yeah, the Iridian seems very versed in how to safely and correctly approach what would be alien life to them.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe this is like there's obviously more aliens out there. Otherwise,
Mhm.
It's just a
why would
Tuesday
they know
for
how to do
him.
this?
Yeah.
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 This star is at the center of the spread of infection, and this guy, this alien guy who's used to meet multiple species, I'm just setting him up to be mysterious and evil. Just saying.
Oh god.
I refuse to accept that.
Yeah.
I hope
At this
not.
point.
we
Yeah,
will
At
don't
this
judge him like that.
we will go find the fan fiction where he's good, and we'll finish that instead of this.
I already made friend bracelets. Okay, friendship bracelets with his
Oh.
name.
Well,
so...
he made them too in the next chapter.
Oh yeah, technically, yeah.
He's curing arachnophobia one alien at a time.
You're jumping ahead. Shh.
Yeah, we're all ready. We're pretty much all locked and loaded for chapter 10.
We're so jazzed. We're so ready.
All right, guys. Well, good book club. GB.
What?
See
Fuck
you next
you! Why is it gonna wait?
Chapter
There you
10.
go.
Chapter 10. Chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Okay, chapter 10. Rylan knocks back, but hears no further response. He heads back to his ship and sets up lamps to illuminate the tunnel. He then uses his spectrometer to see the 20 tiles have different elemental compositions. He suddenly sees a flash of movement and realizes one tile is translucent. He presses his face against the hot surface to get a view of the other side and notices a rock appear in front of him. He soon realizes this rock is the alien's three-fingered claw and sees the rest of his arm and body. Its skin looks like a brown-black rock, bumpy and carved out of granite. The alien shows a model of Ryland and the ship, indicating for him to go back to his airlock. He heads back and decides to call his new colleague Rocky. Ryland waits until Rocky's robot reorganizes the tunnel. The robot analyzes the lamps he placed earlier. Ryland notes how they either don't see or possibly see in a completely different light spectrum. Eventually, Ryland hears another knock and enters the tunnel to see a completely clear wall with Rocky on the other side. Much to his surprise and fear, Rocky is a spider, a big-assed spider. Rocky is half the size of a Labrador retriever with 5 arms and claws radiating in a pentagon design. Rocky wears clothes with armholes as well. Rocky points to an object left by the wall for Ryland to pick up and says, "Oh!" It sounds similar to whale song back on Earth. Ryland is shocked, but soon deduces that civilizations must have languages to develop. Eventually, he turns to the 2 objects, which are spheres imprinted with images of Blip A and the Hail Mary. Ryland opens the Hail Mary sphere and sees 2 beaded rings connected with a string. He realizes this is oxygen with its 8 protons. The Blip A sphere also has beaded rings, this time representing ammonia, with 29 of them representing the atmospheric pressure 29 times the Hail Marys. Rocky's atmosphere was completely inhospitable for Ryland. While excited with all this new information, fatigue washes over him as he hasn't slept in 2 days. He brings back an analog clock to tell Rocky he needs 2 hours of sleep. However, this clock excites Rocky, and he gets Ryland to press the clock against the hexagon tile, which makes Rocky do alien jazz hands. Rocky then brings back his own clock, and Ryland is able to learn that the Iridians use base 6, their 6 numbers, they read left to right, and how long their seconds last. Ryland finally heads back to his ship for a nap, expecting to be too excited to sleep, only to immediately pass out.
Okay.
All right.
I shared a picture of Rocky in book chat.
Nice.
Artist rendition.
That's pretty cute.
So these were the 2 Pokemon that I kind of had a mixture
okay.
of, but
Oh,
like
yeah, let
with
me see this
his
shit.
but like with the legs just a little bit more laid out like a spider.
Yeah, and neck
Like
and
Oh
back
yeah, and obviously no face.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Kinda,
Yeah.
kind of looks like a bacteriophage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a hard time trying to picture the clothes though. The
I
sweater
was
is quite funny.
when he was describing his shape and how many legs, I brought out my phone and started drawing it based on how he described it, and it kind of looked like that, just like
Yeah.
2D and shitty, but it fits.
Yep. I couldn't help but I don't want to spoil anything. Has anyone here not seen Arrival, the movie?
Arrival. Based on the
God, I
name, I
love
gotta
that
look it up.
movie. That
GM,
movie's like one of
good
my
movie.
favorite movies.
So,
Oh, I have
like,
not watched it. No.
Okay. Okay. Well, first you all should really watch it. It's phenomenal. And second,
is.
for those who have watched it, I couldn't help but immediately go to that design
Mm.
and be like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe just a smaller version. Got it." Yep.
That's
Speaking of arrival and
Jazz hands.
communication,
Jazz hands.
Toaster has a question.
Oh, fuck. What was my question? Oh, wait. Wait. I'm almost remembering. Hold on.
How would you?
Yeah. I remember now. How would you guys approach meeting an alien in that like they probably see different spectrums of light. They might not see things the same. Uh, we don't even know how compatible their like auditory ranges are. Like, Ryland hears some noise coming from Rocky, but we don't know like the full, exactly
Yeah.
what all noises he's making other than his like whale dolphin like whatever's going on with him. And how they're scientists, so they have this, I guess, universal language of an atom, what an atom looks like. But like how would you imagine that you would approach that situation? Like how would you try to communicate with an alien?
Hmm. I guess
Well,
through the hand motions, gestures, just like
Yeah.
he's doing, charades.
Yep. Pantomime.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah.
only
pantomime
thing
would
you
be
can
the
really
best
do.
option.
yeah,
Pointing
it
at
wouldn't
them,
go.
pointing at me.
Yep.
Me, blah blah blah.
It
You,
wouldn't.
blah blah blah.
Pointing at different objects and things.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's probably what it would look like, and it probably, knowing my luck, wouldn't go half as well as it's going for Ryland. There'll
Yep.
be one of those
So many
things that doesn't understand.
miscommunications.
Yeah.
There'll be one of those species that doesn't understand what
Yep.
pointing is.
Oh god.
Or like
Because
a hand wave.
apparently dogs understand pointing, but most other animals don't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think the part where Rocky put out like the different hexagonal like wall, whatever, of different materials and stuff, and then figured out which one was transparent to Ryland, and then like made the whole wall of that one. I really am just curious how Rocky sees, especially since he had Ryland put the clock like right up against the material. Uh, and that like every time the clock drifted away or wasn't like right against the material, like Rocky, was like, "Hey, put it back." I'm like really curious, like how Rocky sees, and like the size of Rocky, he's like, what they say, half the size of a Labrador. This is like a
Yeah.
tiny. He's like a tiny little guy
It's a tiny little
in a
thing.
little sweater.
Itty bitty. The sweater just humanizes it for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
I think I didn't fully appreciate his size compared to Ryland at first, but like he is really like just he's a tiny little guy. Um,
little guy.
he's very very interesting, and also with you know the oxygen being Ryland's atmosphere and then ammonia being Rocky's atmosphere. Do you guys have any thoughts or ideas about how Rocky's atmosphere affected his evolution, like as a living organism?
Made him smaller.
It explains why the ship's so big, because it would need to be bigger to punch through whatever their atmosphere.
Yeah.
If I am
Mhm.
remembering my science correctly.
Wait, I'm still very curious about the design of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
with it being all sharp angles and shit rather than like the more aerodynamic, like rounded designs that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
And like what
know.
science tells us that like, hey, this has less like wind resistance and drag. So I wonder if like they don't have they have different like um things that they need to like contend for
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that would allow them that they wouldn't have to think about that but thinking about other things.
Well, they're
I
already
want to know what
turning.
a Rocky spacesuit looks like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. with the xenon bit as well. Yeah, just I guess what happened with the miracle, or not the miracles, the panels on the wall, and um the fact that they use xenon, like a noble gas, as a really durable metal somehow or something. It
Yeah,
makes me
like how
think.
it's somehow binding it.
Yeah, it makes me think that these guys are like so technologically advanced that they've actually figured out like alchemy, essentially. N- Not just from the xenon and all that, but how quickly they were able like to make the ramp and
Yeah, the
modify
tunnel. Mhm.
the tunnel and stuff like so quickly. It's like they have this understanding of like of the elements that humans just don't have. And yeah, I'm really curious to see like what else we learn about like what they're doing with technology, or like why this guy's even here. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I wonder if he has like if he's like an exoskeleton kind of guy or something. And that's how they deal with like they're just spidery, and that's how they deal with the pressure and other things.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew more science. Like, I don't know. I feel like I wish I knew more so I could think of other theories or
Mhm.
explanations.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts anyone has? Do you think Ryland's eyeball should have burned out of his socket when he pressed his face against the tile?
Oh my god.
No.
Maybe if he was
Alright.
there a little
Making
longer, but it seems that his will to live kicked in at some point.
Okay.
making friends with aliens only to completely fuck your shit up. Your
Well,
own
just
shit, not
well,
even the aliens' shit.
So can anybody make an example of what they imagine Rocky to sound like?
He has music notes in the way he talks, so you could
Uh-huh.
look up those music notes
Ah, well
and see how
that's
they
just
sound.
like quarter notes and stuff. It doesn't
I
show a
He's
pitch or
yeah.
something. Or maybe just like like something like
I
that.
swear to
Yeah.
God,
I
he
picture it like
just
very distorted and like just high pitch in a way, kind of.
Mhm.
hmm Like a
That's all.
chime.
Yeah.
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too. Well, maybe not a chime, but like in that vein.
hmm
Like
Have you guys seen Star Trek 4? I feel like you just kind of took this idea from that. That's where they have to save the whales because the whales are the advanced spoiler,
Yes, dude.
advanced species. I mean that's why I feel like they're supposed to sound like
mm.
whale chords and stuff.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like Dory. Like Dory
Yeah,
talking
there
to the
there was a
whale.
little
Yeah.
bit of Dory in there too when they mentioned the whale thing.
Or maybe they speak in like a
Uh,
very strange
uh,
frequency that
you,
you can like speed up or slow down to
you,
understand.
you
Oh.
know what? I gave my impression. I think everyone in Discord should give their impression of what these aliens sound like.
Dory, Chadwick.
No, you nailed it. I don't think any of us have to do it. I think you got it.
uh,
There's no need.
You guys know those video games where like the townspeople don't exactly talk and they're just like
Oh, you mean Animal Crossing? Animal
Yeah.
Crossing?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
dude.
something like that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds like Beaker.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked how when Rocky was like contemplating going back to the ship but he just couldn't bring himself to do it. So he just like came back and started just pacing around the walls again, like waiting for Rylan to finish
Yeah,
whatever he was, the experiment he was doing on time.
He was
Mhm.
that
getting
was so
bored.
funny. Yeah, like it's that it really made it like funny to, you know, maybe they do feel emotions, but like just like we do, like the
Mhm.
boredom. That was so funny to
Mhm.
see.
I wonder if they perceive time a little differently, or like than how a human would. Because what was it like? Was it
It's like
They're
2.5
5
sec?
seconds
Yeah, it was like
or something.
what
yeah.
2.5 human seconds and one iridian, or maybe it was the other
Yeah.
direction or
I wonder,
something.
yeah, I'm really curious if like they started like they yeah, I wonder if they had the same kind of process that we did when it came to like a standard unit of time where like okay, well how long like does it take for
Oh.
this to go like
Mhm.
around the sun? Okay, well
Yeah.
if it takes us this long to go around the sun, how many like how do we break that up? And okay, how do we break that down further? And how do we break that down further?
Yeah, that
And
would
then
make
eventually you get to
sense.
seconds.
Okay, so fuck. So based off their seconds, I'm trying to figure out like, you know,
Yeah.
how what position they would be in their solar system to like have such a high atmospheric pressure and ammonia and like their
And
time,
have
how
that
fast
particular
they're
rotation,
spinning.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's a
Okay.
lot of science.
Yeah, I
I
can't
like I'm
remember
gonna be yeah.
when
Yep.
it's
I'm gonna have to like my dungeon master for D&D is an astrophysicist professor. So I'm gonna have to like start pestering him, but like, hey,
That'd be
help me
cool.
with my book club.
Oh my god, it is 2.366 seconds. I guess I remember the 5 from
Okay.
the total
One
time or
iridian,
something.
I
I
see
got
it.
that one wrong.
1 iridian
Yeah,
second is
one oh my god.
2.36 Earth seconds.
Yeah.
Do you all want to hear what they made Rocky sound like in the audiobook?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Please.
I found a short little part where he talks, and it's what I've been hearing the whole time. So it was weird hearing Earl's interpretations.
Mhm.
Seems to think it over, then changes his mind. He closes the door. He doesn't want to leave while I'm still here. After all, I might do or say something interesting, he says.
That was him.
Brr.
That's
Kind
a
of
little
reminds me of a
Brr.
cat.
That's a little I like our version better.
Yeah.
It's a little electric
I
keyboardy.
thought it was still cute though.
Yeah, cute as fuck, but
Yeah, the
I
whole
want
time
my little
I
Animal
could be
Crossing little rock man.
electronical.
Yeah. Well, thanks for showing us. That's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
thank
y'all were
you.
talking about it, and I was like, I think they have his noise in the book, and it was not at all what I was thinking.
I guess, maybe it's near the end of book club, but I mean, you guys have predictions for where the story's going to go? Like, do you feel like they work together? They solve it? They save each other's civilization? Does Rocky help Rylan get back home? Is Rocky the antagonist? Like, what are you guys'
I don't want to
thoughts?
jump that far ahead, but I will say they will at least work together in the
Yeah.
short term.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
want to
Ryland's gonna
think
die now. I think Rocky's gonna save him somehow.
Be like, oh, here, let me show you
Yeah.
how we get around, and
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I don't want to say he's gonna live. Rocky's gonna help him,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I hope they stay amicable.
Mhm. Yeah, they've put the foundation down for basic communication, but they've still got a long way to go to be able to communicate meaningfully, like for
Mhm.
Rocky to actually be able to
Yeah.
communicate science to Ryland in a way that like it's like, oh, I understand this. Okay, I can send this information back to Earth now or something. They have a long way to go before that, but they at least seem to be friendly. Um, so Yeah, I think part of me, because of how different their atmospheres are, part of me is a little sad that, like, the that their living spaces are so completely like incompatible, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they could never be, together, like just hanging out in the same space or something.
Yeah.
Um, and that, like, yeah, just how Ryland's living, it would probably kill Rocky, and how Rocky's living would definitely kill Ryland. And so there's that, that nervousness that comes with them interacting so closely, is like, well, if something goes wrong, it's like, how, could Rocky even try to help Ryland? Like, how
Yeah.
would he rescue him, or help him when, they're the way that they're alive is so different and incompatible.
Yeah.
I am very curious to see if he will contrive a reason to have one of them. Well, I'm assuming they are going to end up on each other's ship eventually. I don't know which direction,
Mhm.
but I would be very interested to see what the scientific explanation for it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can see with how advanced Rocky's technology is, um, the Hail Mary going on that ship,
Hmm.
and like having, yeah, doing it that way.
What if we haven't seen Rocky in his spacesuit skin. So
No.
maybe he has like a little spacesuit that can
Oh my
make the
god.
pressure totally fine for him or whatever, and then he can just go on to Ryland. Because maybe that would be the safest option. Because I feel like Ryland doesn't have the technology or whatever to make the. Although I guess Rocky could make a suit for Ryland that would allow him to be safe on his ship. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I
Yeah.
I have a different question.
So
What do you think Ryland offers Rocky in the sense of figuring things out?
Oh.
Of like what his chemical makeup is of his side of the ship.
Well, no, just like what science he can do that Rocky can't, or like what is he going to offer figuring out the Petrova problem that Rocky
Oh,
would be smarter, better about figuring out already?
well, they gotta communicate
Some
first. I think that's what needs to be
sometimes you
resolved
just
first.
need a guy with a different perspective. Like they're from two
yeah.
completely different worlds,
Mhm.
so they're going to have
Yeah.
two different, completely different ways of thinking. And also, even if Ryland is so technologically behind that he is kind of useless, like, you guys ever heard of the rubber duck technique when it comes to software coding?
What's that mean?
Where you explain your software to a rubber duck when you can't figure out what's
Yes.
wrong with it, and then while you're talking to them, you
You
by
realize where
hearing
the
yourself,
error of the code
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yep.
Oh, like Tom Hanks and Wilson.
basically, I'm calling Rylan the rubber duck here.
Okay.
So,
But
Yeah, I just wonder what limitation the author's setting up Rocky to have. Like, is it some visual issue that he can't see something that Ryland can, and that's the piece that Rocky's missing? Or, yeah, I just feel like they're
yeah,
trying to set up some gap that Rocky has that Ryland will help out, and they'll work
Well,
and
together.
Yeah.
then
what
yeah, I
if?
think that's
Sorry. Go
basic.
ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's probably what's gonna happen is something about Rocky's species lets him notice something that Rylan never would be able to because he's a human and vice versa. And then by putting the pieces together
Which,
because of friendship, because they're
Which
definitely not going to kill each other,
and then
please.
they find the One Piece. Oh my god.
oh god.
One Piece? Did somebody say One Piece?
what?
God, I can't fucking watch One Piece.
Yeah, you and me both.
Sounds like
The
you
art
guys have
style just
commitment issues.
it's the art style actually.
Oh god.
I mean, not a that's not a good excuse because the art style's changed over 2 decades.
They are
Well,
redoing it.
okay, but
Marlon's like, well, actually, the art style has changed quite a bit since its
well,
conception.
I
Anything
don't
mimics
know
art style.
what episodes and what manga panels that I've seen pictures of. I just know that I don't like them. I don't
Not
like
for
the
everybody.
style.
Okay, I have
But the art style has changed a lot.
one last question. Do you guys think that uh that Rocky and Ryland are there for the same reason, or that Rocky is like doing something else, some other mission, some other science, and that the astrophages like aren't a problem for him in his solar system?
He's
I
farming.
True.
Yeah, I think he's there, whether it's a problem for him or not. But like the very first thing that he did, as far as contact goes, was send over a little like that constellation, and part of that constellation he felt was important enough to add was the Petrova line.
Hmm.
Maybe
True.
their living atmosphere isn't compatible with like collecting and harvesting it the same way, Earthlings have been able to. So maybe he hasn't been able to study them the same way.
Well, his
Potentially.
ship is
yeah.
fueled by it.
It is fueled by it, true. But who knows what other caveats there might be to their environment versus, Earth's environment.
Yeah, maybe they're studying it for the same reason in that like they, have whatever amount of control of them in their solar system, but they are intrigued as to why Tau Ceti um is like stunting the astrophage growth, and that's like part of the astrophage,
Yeah.
biology that they want to study and understand. Like they don't know everything. Um, yeah, I really hope in the next bit of the reading that we learn like why Rocky is there. Like what is he trying to learn compared to Rylan?
If there's an exponential astrophage growth problem, I mean, I imagine Rocky's planet had the same problem within the last, few years as well. So.
So Rocky did tell Ryland what planet he was from. Did Rocky mention how far away that planet was? I don't remember. Or Ryland?
Well, Ryland knows where Eridani is from a star system, like a map.
Yeah, but I don't remember if he says how far away that star system is.
Oh.
I mean, we could check. I mean, just Google.
That is true. I guess all of these stars do actually exist.
It's 10.02 light years.
From Tau Ceti?
From Tau Ceti to 4D Eridani.
Sam got a Labubu. She got one away from the bots. Oh my god. I don't know if anybody's interested in Labubu, but they restocked.
Oh.
Wait, what?
You know Labubu?
Well, this
No, what's that?
Oh, it's a toy. Yeah.
Oh,
little
the thing that you
collectible
got
sort of thing.
Yeah.
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that we've been, spamming and refreshing. I put it in general chat. They just restocked, and literally bots like take them up immediately. And Sam, my girlfriend, managed to get 2 of them and get the one she wanted.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Okay, now I don't have to stare at the screen anymore.
What were you gonna say, Geraint?
Sorry.
There's of course, a Reddit thread about the distance between the stars. And some Redditor calculates at 10.02 light years.
Okay. And so the distance from our solar system to Tau Ceti was what again? Like 11
I
or
have
12?
no idea.
I want to say it was like
Tau Ceti,
yeah.
11.9 or 12.9.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay.
I'm trying very hard to not look at the subreddit.
Does anyone know how many astronomical units are in a light year?
Oh god.
I used to know. I don't know.
Let's consult Google machine.
Google it. Yeah. How many AU per light year?
63,000.
Yeah.
239.
That's very far.
Yes. Oh yes. Okay, well, next week, we got pages 185 through 276, or completing chapter 16. So we'll read chapters 11 through 16 for next week.
Gotcha. Hell yeah. This book has been
I'm off to read.
delightful.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
off
this
to read.
is
Bye. Like, no.
this has been really,
Get out of
really
here.
interesting
This
and
is
very
great book.
exciting and almost like, you know, a little euphoric in the moments that are just like so crazy to imagine, like first contact with aliens and like trying to figure out how to communicate. And it's yeah, very cool,
Yeah.
very exciting.